Have you ever stood at the edge of your college graduation, diploma in hand, and felt that strange mix of excitement and terror about what comes next? The path after college isn't what it used to be. Your parents and grandparents might have followed a straight line. Get degree, find job, climb ladder, retire. But your journey? It's going to look different. Today, we're exploring unconventional wisdom that could transform your post-college life. Strategies most graduation speakers won't tell you about, but that might just be the difference between merely surviving and truly thriving in today's world. Section 1. Reimagining your career path. The job market you're entering isn't just changing, it's being completely reinvented. Let's start with something I wish someone had told me after graduation. Your dream job might not exist yet, and the path to it probably isn't straight. Instead of just applying to posted jobs like everyone else, consider reverse engineering your dream position. Look at people who have jobs you'd love, then work backward to see how they got there. What skills did they build? What unexpected turns did they take? You've probably heard about being a T-shaped professional, having deep expertise in one area and broad knowledge across many. But what they don't tell you is how to strategically build that profile when you're just starting out. The trick isn't trying to master everything at once. It's about identifying which skills are truly complementary and focusing there. For instance, if you're in marketing, adding data analysis skills creates a powerful combination that stands out. And here's something most career advisors won't tell you. Sometimes the fastest way to advance isn't within one company, but through strategic job changes. Think of it as career interval training, periods of intense growth followed by consolidation of those new skills. You know what's funny about the job hunt these days? We spend hours crafting the perfect resume, but studies show that 70% of jobs are filled through connections rather than applications. It's like we're all lining up at the front door while others are being invited in through the side entrance. This is where strategic informational interviewing comes in. But forget the standard, "Can I pick your brain" emails everyone sends. Instead, research thoroughly and offer something valuable in return. Maybe insights from your generation or a new perspective on their industry. People remember those who make them think differently. Now, let's talk about something that might sound strange. Creating your personal board of advisors. Just as companies have boards to guide them, you need a carefully selected group of mentors who can offer different perspectives on your career moves. And in today's world, consider adding an AI co-pilot to your career development. Tools like ChatGPT can help you craft better communications, learn new concepts, or even game out difficult workplace conversations before you have them. Remember, in a world where jobs and entire industries can appear or disappear within years, the most valuable skill isn't any specific technical ability. It's cognitive flexibility and ambiguity tolerance. Your capacity to adapt, learn, and stay calm amid uncertainty will determine your success more than any degree or certification. Section 2. Financial intelligence beyond the basics. Now let's talk about something they definitely didn't teach you in college. Money management for the modern world. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Student debt. While everyone talks about paying it off as quickly as possible, that's not always the smartest move. Dynamic debt optimization means understanding when to accelerate payments and when to direct that money elsewhere for better returns. I once met a recent graduate who was so focused on paying off her low-interest student loans that she missed out on her company's 401k match, essentially turning down free money while chasing the emotional high of being debt-free. Don't make that mistake. Here's something counterintuitive about wealth building in your 20s. It's less about how much you make and more about your savings rate and investment strategy. This is where the concept of stealth wealth accumulation comes in, living well below your means while quietly building assets that grow over time. You've probably heard about compound interest, but have you calculated what it actually means for you? Someone who invests $5,000 annually from age 22 to 32 and then stops completely will likely have more money at retirement than someone who starts at 32 and invests $5,000 every year until age 65. Those first 10 years are mathematical magic. Now, about cryptocurrencies and alternative investments, they certainly weren't in your parents' financial playbook. While I'm not saying to bet your future on them, understanding cryptocurrency exposure ratios means allocating a small, manageable percentage of your portfolio to higher risk investments with greater growth potential. The key word being small. Have you ever noticed how people will spend hours researching the perfect vacation spot, but won't spend 30 minutes understanding their company's benefits package? Insurance literacy mastery means understanding what you're actually covered for. And more importantly, what you're not. Those gaps could cost you everything you're working to build. One financial strategy rarely discussed is geo-arbitrage career planning, leveraging location differences in salary versus cost of living. Working remotely for a company based in an expensive city while living somewhere affordable can dramatically accelerate your wealth building. And speaking of location, let's talk about something many young professionals discover too late: the shocking difference in housing costs between cities. 10 years renting in San Francisco might cost you over $400,000 more than in a mid-sized city with similar job opportunities. That's not just money spent, it's wealth not built. Finally, consider this unconventional wisdom: values-aligned investing. Research shows that millennials and Gen Z are willing to accept slightly lower returns for investments that align with their values. But here's the twist. Over the long term, companies with strong environmental and social practices often outperform those without them. You might not have to choose between doing good and doing well. Section 3. Social capital and relationship intelligence. Let's talk about something that might be worth more than your degree: your relationships. You've probably heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But that's only half the story. In reality, it's who knows what you know. People who recognize and can vouch for your unique value. Social capital mapping is the practice of intentionally developing diverse relationships across industries, age groups, and backgrounds. Think of it as creating your own personal network effect. Here's something fascinating about professional networks that most people miss. Research consistently shows it's not your close friends who lead to the biggest opportunities. It's your weak ties, those acquaintances you see occasionally. They move in different circles and hear about opportunities your close network never would. I remember attending a conference where I struck up a conversation with someone while waiting in line for coffee. We chatted for maybe 5 minutes about a book we'd both read. 3 months later, that same person recommended me for a project that changed the course of my career. All from a coffee line conversation about a book. This is why weak tie activation should be a regular practice. Set a goal to reconnect with one loose connection each week, not asking for anything, just genuinely checking in. Now, let's talk about digital body language optimization. In a world where more networking happens online than in person, how you present yourself digitally matters enormously. Your response time to messages, the clarity of your writing, and even your email signature all send signals about your professionalism. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to build instant rapport with almost anyone? They're practicing something called status fluidity navigation, the ability to comfortably connect with people regardless of their position. They speak with the CEO and the maintenance staff with the same authentic respect, and both remember them for it. Building this skill means being genuinely interested in people's stories. When you meet someone new, resist the urge to talk about yourself or mentally rehearse what you'll say next. Instead, be fully present and curious about them. Something that might sound strange but is increasingly important is digital detox protocols. Your capacity for deep connection with others is directly related to your ability to be fully present, which is constantly threatened in our notification-filled world. Finally, consider this powerful idea: mentorship franchising. Once you've benefited from good mentorship, your obligation isn't just to be grateful, it's to extend that same help to others. As you progress in your career, aim to always be receiving mentorship from someone ahead of you while providing it to someone behind you. This creates a powerful chain of support and knowledge transfer that benefits everyone involved. Section 4. Identity and resilience in transition. The period after college isn't just about finding a job. It's about finding yourself in a world that no longer provides the structure and identity that education did. This is where narrative identity reconstruction becomes essential. The stories you tell about who you are and why you're here will shape your decisions more than you might realize. Consider this. You are not simply an IT graduate looking for work in the tech industry. That narrative is too limiting. Instead, you're a problem solver with specific strengths who happens to have expertise in certain areas. This broader self-definition opens more doors. Something I wish I'd understood sooner after graduation is the importance of psychological first aid protocols, having systems in place for when you inevitably face rejection, setbacks, or failures. You know what's kind of funny about job rejections? We tend to take them so personally, as if the company has evaluated our entire worth as a human being, when really they just had 300 applications and only glanced at each for about 6 seconds. But jokes aside, developing resilience isn't about avoiding negative feelings. It's about having healthy ways to process them and move forward. This is where the concept of failure intellectual property becomes valuable. Every setback contains data that can make you more effective in the future, but only if you take time to extract the lessons rather than rushing to escape the discomfort. Another powerful practice is time-bound experimentation. Instead of agonizing over whether a certain career path is your true calling, give yourself permission to try it for a defined period, knowing you can reassess with the benefit of real experience. For example, I once met someone who wasn't sure if she wanted to work at a startup or a large corporation. Instead of endlessly debating the pros and cons, she gave herself 1 year at a startup, with a clear commitment to evaluate after that year without shame if it wasn't for her. That freedom to experiment without permanent commitment allowed her to fully engage rather than constantly second-guessing her choice. And this connects to something rarely discussed in career advice: reputation firewalls. As you experiment with different paths, be strategic about maintaining boundaries between your professional identities. This gives you freedom to try new things without risking your established reputation. Finally, remember this: your information diet shapes your reality as surely as your food diet shapes your body. Engineering what news, social media, and ideas you consume will profoundly impact your mental health and perspective during this pivotal transition time. Section 5. Future-proofing your career path. As we wrap up, let's talk about preparing not just for your first job, but for a 40-plus year career in a rapidly changing world. The concept of layoff prehabilitation might sound pessimistic, but it's deeply practical. In a world where the average job tenure keeps shrinking, preparing for transitions before they happen is simply wise planning. This means developing skill redundancy layers, ensuring you have marketable abilities that transfer across industries and roles. If your entire professional identity is tied to a single company or industry, you're vulnerable in ways you don't need to be. Here's something that makes me smile about modern career paths. Our parents often had one career their whole lives, while studies show millennials and Gen Z will have an average of 12 to 15 jobs across multiple industries. We're not job hoppers, we're career explorers. This exploration is why parallel career prototyping is so valuable. Developing multiple professional identities simultaneously through side projects, freelance work, or volunteer roles. You might have a primary job in marketing while building a side practice in photography or consulting. These parallel paths create options and allow you to test new waters before diving in completely. One particularly powerful approach is micro-consulting side hustles, small, project-based work that builds your reputation outside your main job while creating additional income streams. And speaking of the future, let's talk about digital immortality planning. The content, thoughts, and work you share online are creating a permanent record of your professional journey, one that will be discoverable far into the future. Be intentional about shaping this digital legacy. Finally, remember this: the most successful careers aren't built on perfectly executed plans. They're built on opportunity recycling systems, the ability to transform setbacks into new possibilities, to see connections others miss, and to continually evolve rather than cling to outdated visions of success. So there you have it. Not the standard graduation advice, but strategies that acknowledge the complex, evolving world you're stepping into. Your journey after college won't be linear, and that's not just okay, it's potentially wonderful. The winding path often leads to the most interesting destinations. I'm curious to know, which of these concepts resonated most with you? What strategies are you already implementing in your post-college life? If this approach to post-graduation planning speaks to you, there's more to come for our upcoming videos on each of these strategies in greater depth. From building your personal board of advisors to implementing parallel career prototyping in practice. Remember, the most valuable asset you have isn't your degree, it's your capacity to learn, adapt, and build meaningful connections in a changing world. Your graduation isn't the end of your education, it's just the beginning of a different kind of learning. Thank you for watching, and I wish you courage and curiosity on the journey ahead.